March 19, 2008. And she had a will. And for those of you who don't know, there's a legal term called testate, and that means she died with a will. Intestate means she died without one, but my mother had one.
Yes.
And however, the previous probate court judge, Pinky T. Toomer, corrupt as she could possibly ever be, allowed my late mother's estate to be stolen from to the tune of $7,712.99. Allowed a lawyer that was representing my cousin, James Boyd Wilbur, to whom I did not know had an attorney, and I also did not know he was illiterate, which legally he should have never even been my mother's executor. I don't even think my mother knew.
Yes.
However, this attorney went to Bank of America the day before my mother's funeral with my cousin, removed her money from her personal accounts without the lawful authority to do so. He used a petition to.
So let me get this right. He went down there on his own. He forced the paperwork.
No, he basically used a petition to probate her will.
Oh, so he had like sort of like power of attorney.
No, it's the petition that you fill out to probate the will.
Meaning to dispute it.
Well, no. The petition is what you fill out. Even if you have a will, you still fill out a petition to probate the will, and you file it with the probate court.
Yes.
Letting the judge know that you have a will and you'd like to probate it.
Yes,
and
sir.
Everybody who's an interested party. That's what they used to access my mother's bank account on March 26th, and didn't tell anybody that they had my mother's money.
So who did the money go to? Fulton County?
No, my cousin and that attorney spent the money.
Oh, we got an APB out on y'all. We coming to get y'all.
For well over a year. And I filed police reports. I did everything that the law says you are supposed to do. And that didn't make a difference. Because when you have these police, and the Atlanta Police Department is as corrupt as the Fulton County Courthouse.
Yes.
And I have verifiable proof of that. And to this very day, I can assure you, not one of these entities, because I'm going to be calling names because I have documentation on everybody whose name that I call.
Bring the receipts, brother. Bring the receipts.
It's also online, too. And if for those of you who would like to go and see my mother's bank statements and see the lies that this attorney told,
yes,
go to jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com. Again, jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com. When you get to my blog, it's the first blog at the top, and it's because basically it's titled about attorneys being disbarred, and I'm letting these attorneys know that the State Bar of Georgia is protecting this particular attorney, Edward R. Downs Jr. in Riverdale, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Go to that blog post, click on it. When you get onto that blog post, you will see links to see my mother's bank statements, the lies that he told concerning her money, all of that.
Wow. So make sure. You know, we never encourage you to do nothing crazy here, but if you find this interesting, like if you know about Fulton County, you live here in Georgia, then you know about the corruption, give it to them one more time.
It's jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com. Again, jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com. And also, too, you want to see how bold I am and how truthful I am, go to my Twitter page. Is twitter.com/JamesIsAJeweler. I used to just talk, because I'm a jewelry designer, I used to just use all of my social media for jewelry purposes. But now it has come to me exposing the corruption in Fulton County.
Facts.
Go to my Twitter page, and I want you to see documents up there too. And who all I tagged: the FBI, the Fulton County Sheriff, not just here in Georgia.
Yes.
And yet nobody has contacted me today. You know why? Because they know that I have the bank statements that I subpoenaed and got to prove that everybody, including those judges in the Fulton County Courthouse, are corrupt.
Give them the Twitter one more time.
It is twitter.com/JamesIsAJeweler.
Okay, so me, myself, being a CEO of a small company and moving around, my job is to find solutions. So what can you do what is the solution to them, pretty much? That's like embezzling, right?
It's basically theft by taking. And there's a legal term under law. And for those of you who don't know, you can Google OCGA 53-6-2. It's called Executor de Suntor. That means you are an executor of your own wrongdoing. If you misappropriate any funds, property, or anything concerning a decedent's estate before you are appointed, you are now liable for double the amount of whatever you stole, misappropriated, or mismanaged. So my mother's 4,076 dollars and 10 cents is $8,000 and some change basically.
Oh,
And then
and in these days and times, $8,000 you can use that.
right, and I'm also suing this attorney for I put a judgment against for 150,000. But once my mother's case is transferred to another county, because I don't care for Fulton County anymore, I've already filed a motion to transfer her case to Fulton. I mean to Clayton County. I'm going to amend my petition to 350,000 against that attorney because he is a threat to the legal community. And I want him disbarred. And I'm also going to have criminal charges filed against him because as soon as we get in court coming up, I'm certain every word that comes out of his mouth, I'm going to ask the probate court judge to monitor his words. Because I'm also going to pay a court reporter to be in the room so that they can transcribe every word. Because my goal is to have him arrested in open court. I'm going to use all of his lies that he has told for over 14 years against him coming up in court. I'm not going to. I'm going to represent myself like I've been doing because I know how to legally represent myself. So, however the case may be, I'm going to take his words and use them against him in open court.
We on your ass, homeboy. What's his name?
His name is Edward R. Downs Jr.
We on your ass, Edward.
And he's a Riverdale attorney.
That's right. And listen, being over $1,000 in the state of Georgia, that's considered a felony.
Right.
So listen, felony, that means prison time, homeboy.
What I find interesting is that you have judges who will lie to you, like Pinky Toomer, Jerry Baxter. I mean, the list goes on of judges that I have documentation on. And the current chief judge, Christopher Brasher, he's corrupt too. He's very corrupt. He's about to retire, but I couldn't care less because his name is being called too, and I have documentation on him. And as I will say to all of you, if you go to my Twitter page, you will see the people that I tagged. See, I'm never going to sit on this show and call names and can't back it up. And that's why I want you to go to my blog and I want you to see the bank statements, see the documentation,
got receipt,
everything.
We own you.
And if you will see all that.
Listen, this is this man's inaugural show. He comes on every Saturday from 4 to 6 on bldradio.com. I'm blessed. Today is my birthday. I turned 50 years old today to be on the show. It's my birthday and his first show, so it's like the show's birthday and mine is all together. So listen, if you want people to follow you or petition with you, what should they do?
Well, I would say I have everything in order in regards to my case because I'm suing Fulton County and I'm going to file several other lawsuits against Fulton County coming up. So that aspect I have under control. The reason and purpose of this show is to educate and inform pretty much everybody in Georgia as to what's going on in these probate courts, and also hear from you too, because I'm pretty sure you have your own issues with the probate court in whatever county you're dealing with, and as well as the Superior Court. But however, I created this show due to the corruption in the Fulton County Probate Court and the Fulton County Superior Court. People are dying every day, and the last thing that any family needs to be dealing with is a corrupt judge sitting on a bench allowing someone who's been nominated in a will or even without a will, allowing them to steal from the beneficiaries or the heirs and take no action against them.
Yes.
That you don't need to deal with.
That's like misappropriation of funds, right?
Right.
Yeah, and then people need that money, man. This is rough times out here. I don't know about y'all, but shit, we work every day. You see, it's my birthday, I'm here working, so yeah, so that's messed up. So we need to expose. If you're a whack rapper, we're gonna expose you. If you can't play on these sports agencies, they expose you. So why not expose our politicians that we go downtown and vote for? If they're not taking care of their business like they should, then I think they should be exposed also.
Right.
That's what it is. So make sure y'all support this brother. I was just coming on, getting him acclimated to a show. I'm gonna leave him to a show. I gotta send out some blast. But make sure y'all support. If you support BLD Radio, Karim Jamal, the General, OGP, and Richland Lane, and my man Bigger Vision that be here, man, make sure y'all tune in to this show. This is his first show. It's going to be nothing but exposing the corruption here in Fulton County. If any of y'all know about Atlanta, I know we got listeners all over the world. But if you know about Atlanta, Fulton County is the courthouse that's downtown. They got North Fulton, South Fulton. He's talking about downtown where the state building
on Prior Street.
That's right. So if if you believe in his cause, make sure you hit his social sites, his Twitters, his Facebooks, and all that, and support his show from 4 to 6 every Saturday from
4 to 6 p.m.
on.
BLDradio.com.
That's right. So this is a good brother. We was blessed to cross paths, and everything he said he's doing. So anything I could do to help him, we're gonna do it. So support him. Signing out, your boy Kareem Jamal. Happy birthday to me.
Thank you.
But I'm gonna leave it over to you, my brother, and keep your foot on these politicians' neck, because you can't get voted in and they act like you ain't say all that stuff you said. Then if you're a judge, you're dealing way more physically with the immediate families out here in the county. So you have to be a little more upstanding than a regular person. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yes, sir, man. It's a pleasure. Welcome on to BLD Radio. This is our newest show. All sponsors. If you want to get sponsored, you're a poet, you got a business, you want to advertise on the radio, this is the perfect show to become a sponsor. It's not that much money, and you'll get exposure to a lot of people. 85% of our listeners, we have 6.8 million listeners to date. 85% of our listeners is here in the city, like the southeastern area, but we got listeners all over the world. So make sure y'all support 4 to 6 every Saturday on BLDradio.com. And it's Fulton County Exposed with your host,
James Pitts.
That's right, man. And if you like what we talk about, call up. Don't be afraid. 470-708-1833. That's 470-708-1833. And I'm out.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Play some light music if you want.
I want to finish talking.
All right.
Yes, everyone. I will say again, in Fulton County, it is corruption, big corruption. Let me begin by telling you all again how all this came about. My mother, again, she died with a will, and it's unfortunate that you have corrupt trash that calls themselves judges like Pinky T. Toomer. Then you have this new judge, Kenya Johnson, that's sitting on the bench in the Fulton County Courthouse. I'm going to get with her as well. I'm going to certainly explain to you about her, but I want to just bring you all into what brought this show about and how all this came about. My mother died in March of 2008, and again, she died leaving a will. And I have two other brothers, Gregory Pitts and Alex Pitts. And however the case may be, we had no issues amongst us. The real problem was my cousin. And for everybody to know, I didn't even know he was illiterate. I don't even think my mother knew he was illiterate. I honestly don't think she knew he was illiterate. Because however the case may be, when you can't read, you are not allowed to be someone's administrator or executor because you're dealing with someone's life and their death. However the case may be, this man cannot read. So the fact that he can't read puts you in a position of what is he doing being the executive? Now, I had suspicions that my mother's money had been stolen because bank statements started coming to her house. And when I got the first document, I looked at it and I've come to find out that money had been removed. So I filed a letter with the probate court in April of 2008. That's when I found out about this attorney, Edward R. Downs Jr. In June of 2008, he filed a motion to litigate caveats. Now, everybody, I never filed a caveat to my mother's will. I never contested my mother's will. However, he filed this motion, and that's when I read the motion, because it came USPS. He basically denied everything, that all of my allegations, and he also stated that he had placed my mother's money in a much safer place than Bank of America pending his client's appointment as executive. That means you're going to wait until your client is appointed before he does anything. Well, everybody, this corrupt trash that calls herself the judge, Pinky T. Toomer, she sent all of us to mediation. During this mediation hearing, unbeknownst to me, because I'm still dealing with the death of my mother, and I'm doing what the judge ordered. I thought she had, she was an honorable judge, only to find out she's not, and she never will be as far as I'm concerned. So we go to mediation, and even after mediation, they still didn't do what they were supposed to do. They did not do what they were supposed to do. And and it took me 5 years to get my mother's bank statements. I filed police reports. I did everything, only to find out that this man all of my suspicions were true. Come to find out, On June 5th, 2008, when I looked at the bank statements, there was $67.10 in this estate account because, again, everybody, my mother had $4,076.10 in her checking and savings account. Primarily, the money was in her checking account. But 5 years later, and I filed, as I tell you again, I filed Atlanta police reports, and I do have documents to prove that. The Atlanta Police Department did nothing. Nobody did nothing. And these people call themselves law enforcement. They're not law enforcement. They're corrupt tyrants. And I can assure you, not one of them will confront me and call me a liar because they know I have the proof. That's why I want all of you to go to twitter.com/James is a jeweler, and you will see all like documents, and you will see who I tagged on my different posts. I haven't heard from any of them. And for those of you that look at Funny Willis as she's the greatest thing since colonial bread, she's trash too. I said it. I said it. That's my First Amendment right to do so. Funny Willis has been tagged several times in posts. I even have emails with her email address in it, exposing corruption in the probate court. I even met with a district attorney just this past April. Her name is Sonia Allen, and her investigator Baez. Now, mind you, everybody, I haven't heard from Sonia Allen or her investigator since that time, and I do have emails to prove that. These are the people that call themselves district attorneys. Now, Sonia Allen is a deputy district attorney in the anti-corruption division. She, as far as I'm concerned, she is no better than the judges that she's supposed to be after to make sure they don't make violate the law. And it really pains me to know that these are people that are getting paid county money. And while Funny Willis is worried about these rich black rappers and Donald Trump, there's a gang right there in that courthouse, at the Fulton County Courthouse, getting paid county money. And I said that. And I'll tell Funny Willis to her face. She is no better than the people that she's prosecuting. All she's trying to do is make a name for herself. That's all she's trying to do. Funny Willis, as far as I'm concerned, honestly, I don't see her doing a second term. She is just not fit for her job. When you literally see what has happened in my mother's estate, and it's not just my mother's estate that this has happened to. And I'm going to be speaking with other people on this show coming up to show you that it's not just me, that these judges that Pinky T. Toomer has allowed to be violated, and this new probate court judge. And what they're also doing, let me put that in here. They're using Superior Court judges to exercise unlawful subject matter jurisdiction to keep us out of the probate court. That's why I'm suing Fulton County coming up. The probate court. And a Cobb County judge for sticking his nose. His name is G. Grant Brantley, a senior Superior Court judge. I'm going to sue him coming up for sticking his nose in my mother's business. First and foremost, he is not a probate court judge. He has no subject matter jurisdiction to even oversee my mother's case. But that's what Fulton County did. Sent the new probate court judge recused herself and sent my mother's case to Cobb County. Now, how can a Superior Court judge, if you have all these Fulton County Superior Court judges who also, they recused themselves. They recused themselves because they knew they lacked subject matter jurisdiction. And the chief judge of Fulton County, which is Christopher Brasher, he's getting ready to retire. He should never be a judge ever again sitting on anybody's bench. He sent my mother's case to Cobb County. Now that makes him liable too. Anytime a judge lacks subject matter jurisdiction or personal jurisdiction, their judicial immunity, they lose it. That's one thing I'm going to teach you all too. And for most people say, well, oh, don't give legal advice. I'm going to give what I want to give. I'm going to give what I want to give. Because if that's the case, if you can allow somebody to steal money, file false documents, don't tell me how to speak when it comes down to giving advice. Funny Willis is unfit for her job. And it's also the Fulton County commissioners, they are aware of all the corruption too. I've gone to county commissioners meetings, and that still made no difference. Rob Pitts, he's corrupt. I confronted him at one county commissioners meeting, looking like a deer caught in headlights. And for everybody that needs to know, I don't vote. I choose not to vote. There's no reason I need to vote, because no matter who you put in these offices, they're not going to do anything for the people. But I certainly want you to be aware of the Fulton County Probate Court and Kenya Johnson. She used to be a magistrate court solicitor. How did she become a probate court judge is beyond me because she's not a probate attorney. And there is somebody else certainly that I'm going to have on the show. I'm going to call and have on the show. She's dealing with a conservatorship situation right now concerning Kenya Johnson. Kenya Johnson's corruption is keeping that woman from her father. And this is not even her father's not even deceased. And see again too, because people are dying every day. That's the main reason why I wanted to create this show. You have people dying every day, whether you have a will or not. It's really not legally required. And when I hear lawyers say you need to have a will, you need to have a will, really, it's not about having a will. But I will say this, everybody: if you have a will, one thing I will say about a will, it will stand, despite corrupt judges, despite corrupt people that have been nominated in your will. That will prevail. The only way the terms of a will can be changed is if all of the people who are the interested parties agree. Otherwise, if you don't, you got to go by what that will says. That's how that works. And Kenya Johnson is corrupt just like Pinky Tuma. I mean, however, when you look at what happened with my mother's estate beginning in 2008, here we are in 2022, over 14 years later. My mother's estate is still open and nothing has been resolved. But it's about to get resolved. And it's going to be resolved through lawsuits. And for anybody who wants to call on my show, 470-708-1833. Again, 470-708-1833. It's just, for me to even fathom the thought that somebody that calls themselves a judge is sitting on a bench, allowing somebody to file false documents on a case, tell lies to them, tell lies to the police, and nothing happens. That's interesting within itself. And then when you think about all of the many people that either come before me or coming behind me, if I don't take a stand and do something about that, how many more people is it going to happen to? There are so many people that are out here, whether you have a will or not, it makes no difference. Georgia law already has laws in place that will protect you. And it's interesting enough that even if somebody does something unlawful and you report it, you're doing what you're supposed to do. And you have judges sitting back, not taking a stand because they feel like, oh, if a lawyer is involved, we're going to protect our own. That's the same thing with these police officers, the Atlanta Police Department. The police reports that I filed, they didn't investigate them. And something else I'm going to be talking about, and I'll probably talk about it my next show, concerning the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. Because when you become vigilant and you refuse to allow people to steal from your late mother or your late father or whomever else, and you take a stand, I will say this to you all: the Fulton County Sheriff's Office and a county employee by the name of what is his name? Holder, Kevin Holder. He is the executive director for the Probate Council for Judges. Told a lie on me in January of 2017, alleged that I called him and left several voice messages threatening to shoot Pinky Toomer, which was a lie. But that whole segment. I'm going to talk to you all about that next Saturday because it's a lot to unpack. You have people, these county employees and the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. They filed false charges on me and had me unlawfully arrested. Of course, I prevailed though, because as you see, I've done no jail time centered around the corruption and the lies. But I'm certainly going to talk about that next Saturday because I want you all to be fully informed. When I think about all of the things that has taken place from the death of my mother up to now, I've had many people ask me, how do you stay strong to deal with that? Easily, because I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I don't do drugs, and I certainly know how to handle myself and protect myself. dealing with these corrupt tyrants in the Fulton County Probate Court and the Fulton County Superior Court. But everybody, if Edward R. Downs Jr. Is a Riverdale attorney, he's basically he just practiced law everywhere. He's a liar and a thief. He's never represented me. He represented my cousin. I would never allow him to represent me. But I certainly again want you all to get in tune with what's going on concerning me. Like I said, you can go to jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com. Again, jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com. And when you go to that first blog at the top, because it's concerning disbarred attorneys, when you click on that link, read my blog. And then you can click on the links to see physical documents. There's nothing been redacted. I want you to see the actual documents, the bank statements, the lies that he told, and also too, just to show you how an attorney can be disbarred for filing false documents or even stealing money. I don't know if any of you know H. Lamar Willis, but he used to be an Atlanta City Councilman. I also put information on that blog post concerning him. So you all, and also the order from the Supreme Court of Georgia, so you all can get an idea of just how the Supreme Court feels about a lying attorney who steals money. And I do intend to have Edward R. Downs Jr. disbarred and also arrested in open court coming up. I'm going to keep you posted on that. I'm going to make sure that this goes public. I don't know if any of you are in Fulton County or have dealt with Fulton County Probate Court, but certainly there is corruption in that building. And that is a gang within itself. In the Fulton County Probate Court, Miles Braxton is the staff attorney. He's corrupt. I'm getting ready to sue him. Angela McCullough, I'm getting ready to sue her. She's the legal judicial assistant. She's about to be sued for basically co-conspiring with the probate court judge and a Cobb County judge against me to keep me out of court, violating my 14th Amendment right to procedural due process. Now, everybody, last year in January, I filed a petition for the settlement of accounts in the Fulton County Probate Court, paid my fees, all of that. Have I been to court? No. Have I got a hearing? No. Have I got anything? No. Other than lies told to me and a corrupt Cobb County judge who lacks subject matter jurisdiction, who also is not the proper judge to even oversee my mother's case, sticking his nose in my business, which now he will be sued by me. That's what's going on in Fulton County. They know I have the bank statements that proves that Pinky Toomer was a liar, that all of her orders are no good. They prove that Edward R. Downs Jr. stole my mother's money and money from me. It proves also that he filed false documents, a false accounting on my mother's estate. You can see all this on my blog post at jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com. Just go and look at that first blog at the top, and you will see. And I made it my business not to edit anything. I didn't block out no addresses. I didn't block out no dates. I didn't block out nothing. I want the world to see just what you need to see on those documents. And I also want you to go to my Twitter page, twitter.com/JamesIsAJeweler. Again, twitter.com/JamesIsAJeweler. Well, anytime I hear, it just makes me even continue saying, when I hear a lawyer say, you need to have a will, you need to have a will. Well, my mother had one. My friend Michael Burke, his father had a will. Another friend of mine, John Blash, his mother didn't have a will. And they were still violated by Pinky T. Toomer and this current probate court judge, Kenya Johnson. This corrupt tyrant sitting in the probate court, Kenya Johnson, her staff attorney, Miles Braxton, her judicial legal assistant, Angela McCullough. All of them are corrupt trash. And yet here and when I see her on the news marrying people, just that look on her face, I know her for what she is. She's corruption. I don't care who likes her. I don't care who supports her. Anything I say over the radio, I can say to her face. Anytime you can allow a deceased person to be stolen from, and you sit back and recuse yourself 7 months after granting my petition for the settlement of accounts, because you don't want me to come into that courthouse or in that courtroom and shut down a lawyer for lying and filing false documents on my mother's estate. And of course, I requested a judgment against him for $150,000. And of course, the staff attorney says, "Oh, we can't do that." Yes, you can too. Oh, the judge can, you can't, but the judge can. They stick together. And when you talk about these tyrants that call themselves law enforcement, they're no better. I want you all to be aware, if you have a will in Fulton County, whether you have a will or not, I want you to be very aware of the corruption in the courthouse, in the Fulton County Probate Court and the Fulton County Superior Court at all times, because it's rampant. It's been rampant and it stays rampant. And there is nobody who's going to be able to change what I say. Nobody's going to be able to change what I say. And when you think about the many people, every time you look at the news, you see people getting killed. You see people dying. And the first thing I'm thinking about, I hope they did. I hope they're not a resident of Fulton County, because next thing you know, they're going to have to experience corruption from Kenya Johnson and her staff. And I could only imagine how many more people has she violated. And I want them to come forward. I would love for them to call on my show and tell me, tell the public exactly what is going on in the Fulton County Probate Court and the Fulton County Superior Court. There are many of me. And see, a lot of times too, you have to be strong enough to come forward and expose people like Kenya Johnson, Pinky Toomer, Jerry Baxter, Christopher Brasher, the Atlanta Police Department, the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, Fonnie Willis. I have no, every time I see Fonnie Willis thinking she cute, sitting on the news, knowing about corruption within my mother's estate, and she has contacted me not one time. But you worried about a phone call that Donald Trump made. He didn't make it to you. Now ask yourself, how many phone calls did James Pitts make to the Fulton County Probate Court for over 14 years? That went unanswered. I even met with Paul Howard. He corrupt too. I met with Paul Howard physically in January 2013. And the first thing he said to me, and I asked him to get my mother's bank statement. And you know what he said to me? "Mr. Pitts, you need to go to law school. You got all of your evidence together, but I'm not a probate attorney. I'm a criminal attorney. I'll get a probate attorney to look at your case and I'll get back with you." That never happened. And then when I did get my mother's bank statements and I informed him that I had them, he didn't want to meet with me. Paul Howard, everybody, I said it. He did not want to meet with me when he found out I had my mother's bank statements, because I wanted him to have that attorney, Edward R. Downs Jr., and my cousin, James Boyd Wilburn, arrested. He was always too busy for me. And yet, many of you that like Paul Howard and you think Paul Howard is a good prosecutor, he's not. He's corrupt too. And when I think about what he did concerning Tex McIver, now he told me in January 2013 that he's not a probate attorney, he's a criminal attorney. But as soon as Tex McIver came up, he went right to Pinky Toomer and got Tex McIver removed as the executive of his wife's estate. Now, why didn't he do that for James Pitts to have my cousin removed as the executive? That goes to show you just how the lies are told in the Fulton County Courthouse. I'm certainly glad he lost his seat. And I truly hope Fonnie Willis loses her seat in the upcoming years. She needs to lose her seat too. What has she done so great so far that everybody thinks is the greatest thing since colonial bread? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. And when you physically can go to the Fulton County District Attorney's office with verifiable evidence of theft, false documents, perjury, and you don't get any response from her, or even the district attorney that you met with, Sonia Allen, Deputy District Attorney for the Anti-Corruption Division, along with her Investigator Baez, and everybody, I do have text messages between myself and Investigator Baez to prove everything, and I don't have no problem with going forward with and publicizing it, which I'm going to do that anyway coming up, because of course I'm getting ready, I'm suing, so of course I'm going to do that, just to show the corruption in the Fulton County Probate Court and the Fulton County Superior Court. But again, $7,712.99 was stolen from my late mother and I, thanks to the corruption in the Probate Court of Fulton County and Superior Court. And I sometimes even look at and I think about many of you that may have to that may end up hopefully with what I'm doing and what I'm getting ready to do, you won't have to experience what I did. And when some people will say, I hate that happened to you. I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry for James Pitts and the late Miss Fanny Pitts. I'm loving all of this. Trust me, everybody. There's no reason to feel sorry for me because what I'm doing and what I'm getting ready to do, I'm going to make it a lot easier for you coming behind me and for those of you that probably have gone before me that did not have the resources or was afraid to do what I'm doing, exposing corruption in Fulton County. And again, for those of you who may want to call on my show, 470-708-1833. Again, 470-708-1833. But I had to create a show because everybody, the media, let me talk to you about the media. Channel 2, Channel 5, Channel 11, and Channel 46. And if you think I'm lying, go on to my Twitter page, twitter.com/James is a jeweler. You will see that I tagged the media. I tagged the media several times with documents, with documents. And yet, has anybody from the media contacted me? Absolutely not. Nobody has contacted James Pitts from the media. Nobody. But that just shows you just how corrupt the media is too. They pick and choose who they want to go after. Every single day, they pick and choose who they want to go after. Mark Winnie, I mean, I can just name them all because I have the emails to prove it. Corrupt. But everybody's so concerned about Donald Trump. I couldn't care less about what Donald Trump does, did, will do, didn't do. I don't care who don't like him. I don't care for none of them people because I don't vote. I don't put any of those people on a pedestal. Never have, never will. I'm only concerned about the corruption in the Fulton County Courthouse that Fonnie Willis is aware of and has taken no action against. And then you think about Fonnie Willis recusing herself from cases concerning murdering police officers. Is that what you all want to basically be your district attorney? And some of you are so lost in space, you still will ride with that woman like she is the greatest thing since colonial bread, but she's not. Fonnie Willis is as corrupt as the very people that she prosecutes. And that's the truth. And I will say again, all you have to do is look at my documentation on my Twitter page. Look at the many people that goes for the FBI, they're corrupt too. Look at the documentation on my Twitter page. Look at all the people that I tagged. That goes to show you that James Pitts don't make no lies. One thing I'm never going to do on this show is tell you lies about what I said, what I did, anything I say on this air, I can say in person to any of these people. Go to twitter.com/James is a jeweler. Again, twitter.com/James is a jeweler. You will see for yourself. I tagged these people. You will see documentation. You will see links to my blog. And you see that I'm not lying to you. And so many times, and when it comes down to voting, let's talk about that too. Because I've had many people say, the only way you're going to change anything, you got to vote. No, I don't. I don't have to vote. I expose corruption. That's what I do. I think that's a lot better than voting. If you are a registered voter, why is it still going on then? If your vote is so important, why is corruption still so rampant? I mean, where are these people that you voted for? They don't even come to your neighborhood to even check on you. They don't even have town hall meetings for you. But they want, and the only time you hear from them is when they want your vote or when they want you to vote for them. That's what you call these elected officials. I don't want any of you to be in a situation when it comes down to your parents' estate, your brother's estate, your sister's estate, or whoever else, and have to deal with a corrupt probate court judge like Pinky Toomer or even Kenya Johnson. And then here's my advice to a lot of you that may have a will. I strongly suggest that a lot of you start having family meetings. And then you need to record these family meetings too. When it comes down to your houses, your cars, your money in the bank, you all need to have some discussions about your assets. And even when it comes to your will, whether you have a will or not doesn't matter. Because the person that you nominate in that will, if they have a problem with, I don't care if it's your son, your daughter, whatever, if they got a problem with the one son or the daughter, and now that you're gone, they may say, well, you know what? Even though the will said I want my brother to have a car, I'm not gonna give my brother that car. I'm gonna sell it. And then you got a judge sit on a bench that won't take action against this person, and you don't get the car that will said belongs to you. Let me tell you, I would say this to all of you. If you have a will, if the person has a will, your mother has a will, your daddy has a will, get a copy of it, and you need to read it. And if you don't get what that will says you're supposed to get, and the person who's in charge takes it from you, you need to prosecute that person. That's what you need to have that person prosecuted. Like I'm getting ready to do with my cousin and his attorney. Have them prosecuted because under the law, that will controls. That will says what you own and what you don't own. When there is no will, everybody has to agree. Everybody has to get together and decide upon who's what who gets what. But when there's a will, that will tells everybody who owns what now. And in Fulton County, a will doesn't matter. And everybody, let me talk to you about the NAACP. Again, if you think I'm lying, go to twitter.com/James is a jeweler. I tagged them too. I even physically contacted the NAACP directly. And yet, have I heard from them? No. Sent them documentation, everything. Have I heard from them? Mm-mm. Not even a phone call to say, Mr. Pitts, we thank you for your information, but we're not going to deal with that. We're not going to confront anybody. Not one phone call. NAACP, but yet you see the NAACP, on the news talking about the judge who was allegedly groped by a sheriff. They want this sheriff to be arrested because he touched Glenda Hatchett, Judge Hatchett. But where was the NAACP when I contacted the NAACP about theft and false document filing and property being sold and stolen? Didn't hear from the NAACP. See, like I said again, they pick and choose who they either help or they go after. And that's what's going on in Fulton County. I don't doubt that it's going on in other counties too, like DeKalb County, Gwinnett County. I wouldn't be surprised. Nothing surprises me when it comes to these corrupt tyrants that wear black robes that call themselves honorable. I have There's only one judge I consider honorable in the Fulton County Courthouse, and that's the judge that oversaw my criminal case that I won due to the fact that it was dismissed in my favor because it never should have been brought. Only one judge in the Fulton County, and he's a Superior Court judge. The rest of them judges are tyrants, all of them, other than that particular judge. However too, just like when you look at this sheriff of Fulton County, he ain't no better. He's no better. I have a text message between myself and him when I wanted to file charges against two sheriffs that lied on me. He basically did nothing. And these are people that you all vote for. I strongly suggest that you all do your homework on these tyrants before you give them your vote. Because if they win, they're not concerned about you. And I'm never going to tell any of you not to have a will. I strongly suggest you do have one. But the question is not whether or not you have a will. The question is who you nominate in that will to make sure that your what you say goes. And number two, who's sitting on that bench in the Fulton County Courthouse or any other courthouse on the probate court. That's the problem. You need to start having family meetings for those of you who have property, who had these good jobs, whatever. You need to start having family meetings to find out where your children's heads are. Because once you're gone, there's nothing that you can really do. But your will, one thing I will say about your will, it will prevail. And I am going to be giving out case law that you all can go read to see what. Matter of fact, if you go on my blog, you will see some of the case law. Read some of those cases. You will see how strong a will is. Very strong. But in Fulton County, there is corruption in the probate court and the superior court. That's the way it's been for a long time, probably well before my mother passed away. And about the same token, I want to make sure that you all know about it. It's been going on for many years, many years. I could only imagine how many people have been affected by it that didn't do anything, didn't file a police report, didn't sue the county, did just basically just took it and just accepted it. Don't accept corruption, people. Don't accept it. That's the worst thing you can do is allow a judge to violate you, to allow a lawyer to violate you. Do not allow it like I did. Like I tell people all the time, I don't care. What my mother had is beside the point. It's the fact that somebody felt they had the right to disrespect my deceased mother and what she stood for. That's where I have a problem. I think that's been my motivation for all these years. I refuse to allow strangers and tyrants to violate my late mother and who she was. And I have no intentions of stopping until my mother's case is resolved. And if it takes lawsuits to do it, that's what's getting ready to happen. It's already in effect now. And I'm going to love every minute of it. And I'm going to expose all of it. I'm putting documents, as the cases go through, I'm going to put the documents online for everybody to read. I want you all to see just how these liars, these tyrants that wear black robes or that work for these trash judges, how they try to run to their judicial immunity and their qualified immunity. You don't have immunity when you violate someone's constitutional rights. When you try to keep somebody out of a courtroom, you have no judicial immunity, you have no qualified immunity. And there's plenty of case law from the U.S. Supreme Court that backs that up. I do a lot of, well, I would say to all of you, you don't have to be a lawyer to become legally educated. Get legally educated like I did, people. That's one thing that the Fulton County Courthouse didn't like about me, and they still don't like it about me, because I know how to draft my own court documents. I know how to research the law. I learned a state law from a real probate attorney. I sure did. And I will never say his name publicly. And it's not a judge or police officer, nobody in the state of Georgia will ever make me say his name. That's the best legal education I got. And Pinky Toomer didn't like that. As time went on, she saw how legally educated I was. This new probate court judge, Karim Johnson, knows how legally educated I am. I drafted my petition for the settlement of accounts last year. Well drafted. And she granted it. And then she basically sat on it for 7 months and secretly recused herself without my knowledge, no hearing, no nothing. That's, and again, because she knows I have bank statements that calls her, the previous probate court judge, a liar. And all her orders from that court is no good. And I come to find out that Kenya Johnson also goes to the same church as Pinky Toomer as well. So 9 times out of 10, everybody, Kenya Johnson and Pinky Toomer are having conversations about James Pitts and probably everybody else that Pinky Toomer had a case with before she stepped down from the probate court of Fulton County. That's what they do. But when, as Fonnie Willis talks about these street gangs, there's one right there at 134 Prior Street, 136 Prior Street. That's a street gang within itself in the Fulton County Courthouse. And they're getting paid county money. But one thing I'm going to say to all of you, as time go on, I'm certainly going to confront these people with these documents. Well, eventually we'll be in federal court, so they won't have no choice but to face me. However, I want the public to see it. That's why I want you to go to my blog. That's why I want you to go to my Twitter page and see it for yourself. James is a jeweler.blogspot.com forward slash, again, it's James is a jeweler.blogspot.com. Again, my Twitter page is twitter.com forward slash James is a jeweler. And also you can, and I have a Facebook, but on my Facebook page I talk about certain things, but my Facebook page I really don't talk as much about what my case as opposed to my blog and on Twitter. But I'm also on Instagram as well, and it's still under James is a jeweler. This is, I mean, this has been going on for years, and you have the media that has taken no action. I've sent them documentation. And for those of you who didn't hear about what happened to an elderly lady last year with the new probate court judge, Kenya Johnson, you can Google this. There's an elderly lady who bought a house in the old Fourth Ward district, basically 30 years ago. Well, somebody that don't even know this woman, she used a fake name and she filled out a petition to become her administrator. Now, mind you, everybody, this woman is still alive. This woman went to the courthouse, filed a petition of administratorship for this woman. Do you know what she did? She got appointed by Kenya Johnson. She went and took this woman's house and sold it. Google it. And when you Google this, Google elderly woman's house stolen by deed fraud in Fulton County. You'll see the case because it's on Channel 2's website. Elderly woman house was stolen through deed fraud. You can just say that. Elderly woman's home stolen through deed fraud in Fulton County or in Atlanta. You'll see it. You'll see the story. Now, Kenya Johnson, supposed to be a former prosecutor in the magistrate court. And you mean to tell me you don't do your homework, Kenya Johnson? And here's another thing, too. This happened last year. You haven't heard about no arrest. You haven't heard anything else about this woman's house. And then they knocked her house down, too, everybody. This false person this elderly lady didn't even know, sold this woman's house. And now the woman's house got knocked down. And I believe Fulton County probably paid her under the table to keep it quiet. But this happened just last year. And Kenya Johnson is guilty of it. Appointed somebody over this woman's estate, and she's not even dead. This woman who went down there and filed these documents, she used a person's name who was similar to this elderly lady who's not even dead. But we haven't heard about no arrest or nothing. And you want to talk about corruption? How corrupt do you need to be? That's what Kenya Johnson is about. A former prosecutor in the magistrate court, appointing people who don't even know these people, filing false documents, and we haven't heard about not one arrest concerning this woman. But Google the story again. Elderly woman's home stolen through deed fraud in Atlanta. You'll see it. I don't make no lies up here. But one thing I will tell everybody, my late mother's estate is going to be handled. It's going to be resolved. And James Pitts is suing Fulton County. I do not want you all to be under this impression that your will has no meaning, because it does. It really does. I do not want you all to think that your will can just be easily violated, because it cannot. Even though these people are doing what they're doing, your will still stands. I don't even want you to think that your will has no meaning, because it does. And for anybody who may have questions for me, or whatever, you can call on my show, 470-708-1833. Again, 470-708-1833. I definitely want you all to be aware of the corruption in the Fulton County Probate Court and the Fulton County Superior Court. You have people that I wouldn't be surprised. You all probably have your own issues in the probate court, whether it be the Fulton County Probate Court or any other probate court. But I'm certainly going to give you the tools you need because I'm going to be having attorneys on my show too to discuss these things too. Because I want you all to hear from lawyers, probate attorneys, criminal attorneys, former federal prosecutors. I'm going to have lawyers on my show coming up. I want you all to, I'm going to be talking to them. I'm also going to be talking about my mother's case with them. I want you all to have a better understanding as to what can happen to somebody when you start filing false documents, making false statements, regardless of a judge allowing it. Just because that judge allowed it, don't still it doesn't mean that it's still not illegal. And I'm telling you, everybody, I look forward to my day in the Clayton County Probate Court with Edward R. Downs Jr. because every word that comes out of his mouth, I'm going to have every word any questions I ask him will be questions centered around what he's already said on paper. And then I'm going to hit him with these bank statements. And I'm going to ask that probate court judge to arrest him in open court. And if that judge does not do that, I'm going to go right from that probate court after the case is over. I'm going to take out a criminal warrant application, and I'm going to ask that the court reporter that I'm going to be paying to transcribe the words. I'm going to use all of that. I'm going to have him arrested. You cannot go through people's money telling lies. You cannot file false documents on deceased people's estates and think that because other judges allowed it and chose not to do an investigation on you that you got away with it. No, 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 no. That's just not the law. I want you all to understand that you have to take a stand against corruption. Take a stand against it. And another thing about my show too, I want to use my show to help others. That's another thing I want to do. I want to do some community-based things because there's so much negativity in the world, and I'm pretty sure there are many things that we can do together to help other people out. So that's another thing I'm going to do with my show. But most importantly, I want to get the word out about the corruption in Fulton County. That's the purpose of this show. Because I don't want any of you to go into that courthouse thinking, oh, the judge is honorable. Oh, the judge is this, the judge is that. No, absolutely not. Kenya Johnson is corrupt. She's shady, and she is no better than Pinky T. Torn, the previous corrupt probate court judge of Fulton County. Anytime you can allow somebody's estate to be mismanaged, stolen from, false documents filed on the case, money stolen, and not one penny was basically spent on the deceased person, you are trash to me. You are corruption at its best, wearing a black robe. And you all need to be told the truth. And you're going to be told the truth through this show. And as I said before, there will be other people that I'm going to be talking to that probate court has done the same thing to. It's rampant in that courthouse. And I want you all to be told the truth. From 2008 up to 2022, over 14 years since the death of my mother, you would think my mother had $30 million in the bank, 25, 30 houses, or she was, a celebrity or whatever, that her estate has been open this long. But that's not the case. Thanks to Kenya Johnson and previous probate court judge Pinky Tuma. But as time go on, I intend to expose their corruption. I intend to put documents online for everybody to see as these cases go through the courts in another county, because I'm certainly removing my mother's case from Fulton County. I'm already working on it now. I don't want my mother's case in Fulton County. And all documents that have been filed on my mother's case, I'm going to ask that they be removed from her estate. I wouldn't care if the only thing in the courthouse is her will, and that's it. But I don't want no lying documents on my mother's case, and I'm certainly going to make sure that's done. I don't want anybody going in that corrupt probate court getting copies of documents that are not true, other than my documents. Now, my documents are true, but anything concerning Edward R. Downs Jr. is a lie, and it's the truth. As far as I'm telling you, I've already had people contact me and say, "Thank you for doing what you're doing." They've gone on YouTube because I do have videos on YouTube as well, and they have thanked me for exposing these corrupt tyrants in the Fulton County Courthouse because they have been violated by Pinky Toomer and Kenya Johnson. So, yeah, it makes me feel very good to know that people are getting informed by what I'm telling the public. And when you can go and tag these people on Twitter, showing them documents, and you don't get not one phone call, no follow up, not even from the media. And I'm not just saying just media in Atlanta. I mean, I have tagged international media, ABC, NBC. Oh, no, not one phone call, not one email, not anything. Now, you do know, and for those of you who may not know this, because I've even had attorneys say, Mr. Pitts, they have gone on my blogs and seen my documentation. And then when they actually do their home research, they be like, Mr. Pitts, you are telling the truth. No wonder you haven't been, nobody sent you a cease and desist letter. You haven't been sued for defamation or slander because it's facts. Yeah, I get that all the time. Has anybody ever threatened to sue you for calling them names or putting up documents and saying that they are corrupt and whatever? Please, I wish they would. I want them to. I beg them to put me in a courtroom. I love going to court. Sue me. Sue me. Because when I get in that courtroom and show that jury what you knew about and how long you knew about it, then I'm going to counter sue you for 5 times whatever you are suing me for. I'm going to sue you for 5 times that. I've never gotten a cease and desist letter. My blog posts have been up for years. My blog has been up since 2010. You can just, I mean, literally, you can see what I have said about these people. That goes for my blog as well as for my Twitter page. No, I've never had anybody threaten to sue me. Because if they ever do, I'm going to tell them to go ahead and do it. And I'm not taking anything down. I may add to it. And not only that, I've tagged Stacey Abrams. See, all these people that get on the news and make these commercials talking about what they're going to do if they become governor. I even tagged the governor. Not only have I tagged the governor, I tagged the U.S. attorney. All of these different people. Haven't heard from any of them. Now, whatever's going on behind the scenes, which I don't think there's anything going on, I still haven't heard from them. And Brian Kemp, he ain't no good either. I don't even see how women can vote for him, considering the fact that he's trying to tell you what you can do with your body. That I find strange. And it really makes you wonder if you are law enforcement, if you are a judge, if whatever, and somebody hasn't said anything to me after all this time, after all these years, that should tell you something. And people will always say, go to the polls. And you see people out saying, go vote, go vote. Vote for who? None of those people could care less about any of you. None of them could care less about you. They only care about themselves and their political gain. You can look at Keisha Lance Bottoms. Since she's left Atlanta, what did she do for you all, Atlantans? She don't even talk about you all anymore. She don't even make commercials saying, hello, Atlanta, none of that mess. She's not concerned about you. And many of you just put her on a pedestal. She was a great mayor. No, she wasn't. No, she wasn't. No better than the new mayor. He ain't no good either. I call him a hip hop mayor of Atlanta. That's all he is. Every time you see him, he's at somebody's function or event, but he ain't in your neighborhood though. He ain't trying to talk to you. He's not because he's not concerned about you. But he's at every function, every celebrity function, every basketball game, every football game. That's where he's at. But where is he at in your neighborhood? You the one voted for him. He's not worried about you because you're not a celebrity. And the only time you gonna hear now when he was running for mayor, he was all in y'all neighborhood. Want to bounce a basketball, want to play basketball with you, want to hug your baby, want to dance with you, do the electric slide and all this nonsense. Now he's the mayor. Where is he at in your neighborhood? When is the last time he knocked on your door? And many of you believe that voting is that important. And I'm never going to tell somebody not to vote. If that's what you want to do, feel free to do so. But Mr. Pitts will never vote. I will never be a registered voter in any state. This is a waste of my time. And considering what has happened in my mother's state for all these years, there's really no reason for me to vote for anybody, any of them. None of them deserve my vote. None of them. None of them. When you know about corruption in a courthouse and you have taken no action against it, no, I don't have a need to vote for you. Many of you better really pay attention to these candidates as they're asking for your vote. You need to really ask yourself, do they really care about your concerns? Because they don't. And no matter how you look at it, I just really think about many people who may have been in a situation like my mother's estate that didn't take any action against these people, just basically accepted what happened to them and kept their mouth closed. Well, I'm not going to do that. I refuse to do that. See, a lot of times, that's how a lot of these families get into these fights and disputes and all this other mess because of a judge sitting on a bench not doing what she's supposed to do or he's supposed to do. And many people think they have gotten away with it, when technically you didn't. And Edward R. Downs Jr. knows I'm hot on his trail. He even took his website down, everybody. I had several attorneys contact me and say, Mr. Pitts, we even tried to find his website. He used to have a website. What happened? He took it down because I have just put him on blast over the internet. He took that website down, but see what he don't realize is it doesn't matter. I've already exposed Edward R. Downs Jr. for what he is. And for everybody who has gone to see my blog post, they see the lies that he told. They look at my mother's bank statements and they clearly see he's the one that committed the theft, he and my cousin. That's what happened. Yeah, he took his website down. He's trying to really be low key. But Edward R. Downs Jr. is getting ready to see James Pitts in the Clayton County Probate Court coming up. He's getting ready to lose his license, and Edward R. Downs Jr. is about to be arrested in open court soon. I look forward to it. I don't care how many lawyers he has in that probate court. It will be myself and my evidence against him and all the lies he has told for over 14 years. And every question that I ask him will be concerning what he has already said compared to what the truth really is. And that's where he's going to go wrong. That's where he's going to be arrested at. And my main concern is I want to see if this probate court judge in Clayton County is going to do what he or she legally has the right to do: arrest you in open court for perjury under oath. Because, of course, everybody, when we go into these courthouses and we raise our right hand, we take an oath to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Now, can you imagine? And for all of you who want to go see for yourself, I want to say it again. Go to jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com. Again, jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com. Go to that first blog at the top because it's about the disbarred attorneys. Click on that. Click on that post. When you get on that post, you will see links as well. Read the post, but I also want you to see the bank statements. Click on those links. Now, Edward R. Downs Jr. said in his motion that's dated June 5th, 2008, that he placed my mother's money in a much safer place than Bank of America, pending his client's appointment as executive. And again, everybody, my mother had $4,076.10 in her account at that time. Now, it took me 5 years to get my mother's bank statements after I learned the state law and I learned how to subpoena documents. Okay, I got the bank statements from Bank of America. In June of 2008, it was $67.10 in that account when he told that lie. Do you know how much money that was in that estate account that he established before my cousin was appointed in November of 2008? The account was negative $17.90. Now you ask me, or you ask anybody, if somebody says they're just like you say to me, I gave you $5,000. What did you do with it? Well, I placed it in a much safer place in a bank, pending my appointment as executive. Okay, well, if you know I got appointed 2 months later, and you say, show me the bank statements to prove that. Now, if I show you bank statements and the money is gone before I was appointed, what does that say about me? I'm lying to you, and you're going to take action against me. And that's the same thing with Edward R. Downs Jr. When I get him in that probate court in Clayton County coming up, it's a wrap for him. And then here's another thing too. There was insurance money totaling $3,636.89 that I went after. Technically should have been over $18,000. Edward R. Downs Jr. lied to me. He basically settled a claim that I had in favor of my mother's estate, took that money and stole it. And then he lied about it. And that's another thing he's going to have to answer to. I even have audio tapes that I'm going to be playing on my show for you all to hear. A lot of y'all are going to laugh at it, but it's the truth. I even let Paul Howard listen to some of those tapes. I called this man's house. He called a law firm over 100 times, and I recorded all of it. And even the Clayton County Police Department, when they called me talking about harassing him, I told them as soon as I get off the phone with them, I'll call him again, and I did. I said, if he don't like what I'm doing, tell him to take out a warrant. You need my address, or do I need to come out there? I don't care, because I'm still going to call him. As long as he calls himself my mother's legal representative, I'm going to do what I want to do, and I did. I have so much evidence on that liar and that thief, Edward R. Downs Jr., that I'm going to show the public soon. And lawyers are getting disbarred almost every month, but unlike him. But he's next. He's coming up. He will be disbarred eventually, and he will be arrested eventually. His lies are so weak, and I have so much evidence on him, he can't lie anymore. And everybody, I forgot to tell you this too. When I filed my petition last year, that corrupt judge Kenya Johnson and her staff attorney Miles Braxton and her judicial legal assistant Angela McCullough, they never even served him. I paid for that too. I have the proof of it. I paid to have him served. The Clayton County Sheriff's Department told me, Mr. Pitts, we've gone out there. He won't open the door, and because it's not a criminal matter, we can't just kick the door in. But he won't open the door. And I don't use private process servers. I don't care for private process servers. I don't like them. If you don't wear a badge and a gun, despite how I may feel about the corrupt police officers, I'm still going to use them to serve documents. I don't use private process servers. I want you to know who's coming to see you when I serve you. I always use somebody with a badge and with a gun on when I have you served. So now here sits the issue. When it gets to Clayton County coming up, in the same county where he resides, Edward R. Downs Jr., it's going to be interesting because another probate court judge ain't going to let you get away with that. Not opening your door. You're a lawyer. It's one thing if you wasn't a lawyer and you avoiding service, but you are a licensed attorney. You have no business not opening your door to be served. But that's what he's done. He's been doing it since last year because he knows I have the evidence to have him arrested and the evidence to have him disbarred. And that's what's getting ready to take place coming up. Enough is enough of the corruption in Fulton County. My mother meant far more to me than what she left. And that's the way I've always looked at it. And for every day that goes by that you have these corrupt tyrants in the Fulton County Courthouse doing what they're doing, it's not going to look good for them. Because it's certainly going to look good for me. Because I have evidence on all of them. And this has been going on for over 14 years in Fulton County. I've had Michael Burke's estate, well, his father's estate. His father had a will, left his property to 9 individuals. The executrix of the estate, she sold this man's house and she lied about it. The will didn't give her the right to sell his house. But Pinky Toomer didn't care, and Kenya Johnson trying to keep him out of a courtroom. That's on my blog too. If you go to my blog, jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com, and put in Michael Burke up in my search bar, you'll see the affidavit filed on his daddy's property. They clouded the title on his daddy's property located at 686 Cedar Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia 30318, to make sure that the person she sold that house to can't do nothing with it. All because a corrupt probate court judge by the name of Pinky T. Toomer allowing the executors of the estate to violate his daddy's will. And matter of fact, his will is on my blog too, if y'all want to read it. It's up there too. It sure is. As a matter of fact, it's attached to the affidavit that's filed on the property. See, there are ways to bring people in and to stop people in their tracks. You just have to get legally educated, and you have to be strong enough to stand up to these tyrants. You cannot back down. You cannot. And this has been going on for many years in Fulton County. It just makes you wonder how many people has been affected by those corrupt judges in that courthouse. And then you have trifling, worthless district attorneys who are far more concerned about trying to make a name for themselves, going after rich black rappers and Donald Trump. They don't care nothing about you unless you done went out here and done something to one of them, or you're doing something to somebody else. And that's who, and a person like Fonnie Willis is certainly unfit for her job. She is. I don't give her any praise, not at all, none. Matter of fact, none. Her or any of the attorneys in there, district attorneys. I don't give any of them a praise. When you know about what happened in my mother's estate, what you know have happened in Michael Burke's father's estate, and my friend John Blash's mother's estate, yeah, I don't have any respect for you at all. But if it takes lawsuits to bring out the corruption, because I don't want just money, I want jobs too. I want their jobs. They need to be removed from office. They need to be removed from the courthouse. You have no business doing what you're doing and then calling yourself getting paid county money to do that, to violate people. The main question I continue to ask, how many more people has this happened to before my mother died? You have a secured bank account, and somebody can go in your bank account with documents that's not even legal. As I told you all, that lawyer, Edward R. Downs Jr., on March 26, 2008, and how do I know he did that? I subpoenaed it. That I have a copy of it. As a matter of fact, I got several copies of it because I made copies of it when I got it. A petition to probate my mother's will in solemn form. And see, here's the problem with that. Let's just say my cousin had not gotten appointed because maybe, the judge says, well, no, because my mother had nominated my brother, my older brother, to be next to my cousin if he didn't want to serve. But here's the problem. This petition accessed my mother's bank account. Now, what if my cousin and that lawyer would have just, what if he didn't get appointed? But you still got my mother's money and I spent it up. And again, everybody, that money that my mother had in her account before he was appointed is double now. And I will tell you all, learn this new statute under OCGA 53-6-2. Google it. It's executor de tort, meaning you are an executor of your own wrongdoing. Anytime you misappropriate money or funds, you commingle funds, whatever, you will become liable for double the amount of what you misappropriated. And that's exactly what he did. You have got to understand, people, these people in these courthouses that are wearing these black robes are doing this on a daily basis, allowing deceased people's estates to be violated with no court oversight. And I want you all to understand, if you have a will in Fulton County, just be mindful of corruption like Kenya Johnson. And even if you, before she took office last year, Pinky T. Toomer, because a lot of you dealt with Pinky Toomer, especially who's in Fulton County. So you've had some interaction with her. But the question is, did she violate you? Or did she allow your parents or whoever to be stolen from and mismanaged? That's the question. And I look forward to showing the public even more corruption that's going on in that courthouse coming up, because it's there. It's been there. And of course, anybody got questions for me, you can call on my show again, 470-708-1833. Again, 470-708-1833. It's really a mess in Fulton County. And you know what? Let me see something else too. I'm going to, there's somebody I want to put on the show that Kenya Johnson allowed to be validated. Let me see if she's available. Hold on a second. Wait till you hear her story. And mind you, everybody, her father's not deceased. Let's see. For every day that goes on, this is what you have to deal with. Hold on one second, everybody. I just want to see something. And her name is Carmela Sherrington.
Hi, Jay. We were just going to call you. We were trying to listen to
Go
the
ahead.
radio station.
Go ahead. If you can, go ahead and call in the show.
Okay, I'm going to call it right now.
Okay.
I'm calling in.
All right.
Okay, I'm calling.
Okay. Everybody, prepare yourselves for what you're getting ready to hear, okay? Prepare yourselves. See, I don't want you to ever think that I'm what you would consider a disgruntled beneficiary. I'm far from disgruntled. I had my own money before my mother died. My mother didn't play that live off her, all that kind of mess. No. She didn't play that. Mm-mm. Disgruntled is far from me. This is a case of protecting what my mother had and who my mother was. But I want you all to hear from this particular caller what happened to her recently in the Fulton County Probate Court. Again, 470-708-1833. Now, this is concerning conservatorship, everybody, not probate. And Kenya Johnson and her corrupt staff violating her and her family concerning her father. Interesting. It never ceases to amaze me. And yes, we're going to be talking about conservatives and conservatorship and stuff on the show too. Because again, corruption comes in many forms. It's not just a deceased person. Some of these judges feel so comfortable with this judicial immunity because for those of you who may not know about judicial immunity, do you know that a judge can violate you even maliciously as long as they are within their jurisdiction? Isn't that something? As long as they're within their jurisdiction, as long as they have subject matter jurisdiction, they can violate you. Google it. Google it. I'm not going to lie to you. Now, you don't have to be a lawyer or a judge to know when you're violating somebody or you know that you're violating the law. Now, when you have no subject matter jurisdiction, that's when you become liable to the public. That's when you become liable. When you lack subject matter jurisdiction, just like that Cobb County judge did to me. And yes, he's getting ready to be sued. He sure is. You're not a probate judge, and you have no business having any ex parte communication with me. And then everybody, let me tell you what all he did to me as well. Now, this judge, and I've never filed any documents in the Cobb County Superior Court. Let me make that clear. Second of all, when did judges start emailing you directly and not talking to nobody else? And not only that, when have we started having court on Sunday? Do you know this judge, G. Grant Brantley? He emailed me on a Sunday with an order from the court. Now I've never stepped foot in a Cobb County courtroom. Matter of fact, I've never even stepped foot on Cobb County property. That's what you call ex parte communication. That is illegal. You can, and every order that he has is void because he was only talking to me, not that lawyer, not my cousin, not my brothers. You only dealing with me. That's legally considered ex parte communication, and that's illegal, it's unlawful, and any order that you have drafted is void. That's just not how the court works. And you also don't have judicial immunity due to the fact you're not a probate court judge and you have no business hearing probate court cases concerning the petition of a settlement of accounts. So yes, he will be sued. This is what's going on, people. And how this all came about is because of that corrupt chief judge in Fulton County, Christopher Brasher, and Kenya Johnson. I call these people for what they are. That's what I do. Hold on a second, because I think Carmela is texting me. Because I definitely want her on the show. I want her to tell you all what happened to her. What just recently happened to her concerning this. Let me see. Hold on a second. Hello.
What's the number? It's 470.
Matter of fact, I could just put you on here now.
Okay, no, okay, put it on there like that.
Okay. Now go ahead and tell the listeners what happened to you in the Fulton County Probate Court.
Okay, listen.
Let everybody know your name first.
Okay, my name is Carmela Cassandra Charrington. Our father is Orman P. Charrington, and what happened was we live in New York. Our father lives in Atlanta, and our father was being financially and medically abused by his estranged wife. He married this woman that we found out in 2019. Took him on a trip. We found out that he married this woman and for her papers to gain citizenship. So we were like alarmed in it because he had just got divorced. He had got a lump sum of money from his divorce. He sold his property here in New York. He had a property already in Atlanta in the Grand Park area. And we were like, Dad, this is just not like you. Just got a divorce. You don't know this woman. He's like, you're not married for her papers. And we're like, that. It just was really strange. Well, come to find out, long story short, that this woman ended up, he had a prenup. All his paperwork was in order. We didn't want to go in. I mean, I did, but it's five of us. So my siblings were like, listen, let's kind of monitor, pay attention. We started instantly calling immigration, letting them know what was going on. We were like, we think something is wrong with our father. This is just not of character. And so at this point, we monitored and we watched and we monitored. We started putting trackers. We did everything to monitor and pay attention. But the main thing was his health because we knew he had prostate. So we were trying to see like him going to the doctor and so forth. All the agencies we went to because he was married, adult protective services, everybody, like, they were like, oh, he's married, the wife, we called every agency on her. We saw the neglect. They were like, no, everything is fine. We went to the house, nothing's going on. We're like, no, there's something going on. Finally, we got an appointment with the cosmic doctor. It was on his birthday, 2/20/20. We went to the doctor. The doctor examined him. It ended up being two doctors examining him. As we were in there, we ended up getting a POA, for him, and we we, like I said, we was monitoring, we was on all his statements. So all we did was watch, take notes, prove to adult detectives, like, listen, this woman is transferring money, this and this and that, the other. Nothing was being done. We had proof, documents, and everything. At that point, on his birthday, we went to the doctor. The doctors, both head doctors came in and said, this is his results. And I was like, okay. So when we went to the attorney, we spoke to the attorney. We said, the attorney told us that he had to have a certain number, and if he had a certain number, we could head to, probate or get a guardianship. I think the number had to be like 26. So we were like, okay, that's fine. At that point in time, we were like, just me and him was in there. I was like, well, what's the number? He ended up scoring like a 17, and I was like a 17. They was like, his numbers were really, really low. But I'm in there like in tears, like, are you serious? Like it was way worse than what we expected. And so the doctor said, well, what happened is because he's so articulate and intelligent, he was able to camouflage it and people wouldn't notice it. And then as I'm there, like in tears, and then I looked because we had access to his account. We looked into his account, and then we see $17,000 removed from his account. So I'm like, oh my God. So of course, doctors and nurses are mandated reporters. So I'm like, oh my goodness, his account is in zero. So I'm panicking at the doctor's office, telling the doctors, like, look, his account, somebody took $17,000 from his account. I'm in there like, what is going on? Come to find out, we left the doctor's office. We started doing our research. The wife went and took the money out of his account. It wasn't on his account. She just took the money and just took it out of his account. So at that point, I just said, you know what? So then we started calling the bank, trying to find it out. It was his birthday. I was like, you know what? Let's just enjoy his birthday. And so we went down to Murphy's right in Glen Iris. We went to go celebrate his birthday. And of course, my dad is just a dad. Still his birthday. He's used to paying for things. He went to try to pay for his stuff. And I'm like, Dad, you don't have any money in your account. And then he was like, what do you mean? And he didn't really realize. Because at this point, I realized that he's really sicker than I thought. And he went to go pay, and I really filmed it, took the pictures. I said, go ahead, man, just go ahead and take it. Go take his card. And when she went to try to pay for his stuff, everything declined. Took the picture. I said, please, I need the indication. Because I knew that I need to document everything, because everything that I did was everybody was telling us, no. Like, everybody was closing the door. What you're saying is so true. You've been such a vessel. Like everybody's been saying no, and you're the only one that resonates, like, makes sense. Other than Ben Crump, and he's a civil rights attorney, but like, you are so comparable, man. Like, stand up, be a voice, don't allow leadership. Like I put you on that pedestal because you are.
I thank you very much.
Yeah, I do. And I really don't know his backstory, but just from what I see of him, he is like just like you, the truth, like speaking it. Like, don't let leadership get away with it.
Right.
Don't let people do it. Like these people are wrong. Like, even the other day when he was, in front of the courthouse, it remind me of me speaking with you. Like, he had the documents, the court papers in his hand. Like, listen, we want $100 million. We're about to go in here with this $100 million. Are you gonna give it to us, or do we have to go ahead and go to the next level? You need to own up to what you did, and that's just how he handles things. So long and whole, we went through all this, with his wife. We ended up go ahead with the attorney. That was our last step, going to probate. After we went to probate, they ordered the Liam, which was the reporter. The reporter found out he only did a year's worth of report. He found out, oh, you know what? We gave him all the documents. All he had to do was just interview everybody. We had all the documents. He went ahead and interviewed everybody. He was like, oh, you know what? You guys are right. He compiled all the evidence. It's equivalent $64,000. That was just 1 year of evidence. After that, we said, once he found out, he said that the wife was found guilty. She took all his things. She did a quick claim deed twice in 1 year. She set up herself to lose him, to leave him with nothing. So he needs a guardian and a conservative. And me and my sister would be perfect for it. So we were like, okay, so we left it alone. We were like, all right, we have a good chance of getting it. We didn't do anything. We had a POA that was so entailed that we could have done everything. But because we saw that everything was okay, there was no need to do anything. We were like, all right, everybody's on board. We're going to get this in place. We left everything. Well, COVID came. It was slow. We found out she was trying to take my dad away out the country. That was a red flag. We were like, no, because it was a different jurisdiction that we took our dad. We don't know what she may have done, what could do with him. So I started calling the courts. And we're like, listen, we don't know what the problem is. We're not getting a court date. We need to get in front of a judge. Finally, we was able to go to court August 25th, if I'm not mistaken, by Zoom. Everybody was there. And the Zoom, our attorney was there. Kenya Johnson, all she did was sat and took notes. Didn't say a word. So it was almost like a prop. It was like a joke. Sat there. My father and his estranged wife was at their attorney's office. Me and my sister was in New York, and they were all on the Zoom, asking us like silly questions, like, oh, how could you be the conservator, the guardian, you live in New York? We were like, listen, we can make arrangements. Like that's the easy part. So we told them that, we were willing, this is what we want to do, it's imperative, we have a property in New York, that we're in litigation with as well. So that's what we're back, we need to be back and forth. One of us will say if we need to. Oh, they were like, well, how could you be a guardian and conservator with his wife there? We're like, what? What do you mean with his wife there? She was found guilty, but she's not even a concern right now. So after that, they blanked it off or whatever, and then our attorney started calling me, and she was like, you guys need to try to decide just in case because the judge does not go against the court-appointed attorney. You guys need to decide who would be a guardian. He's like, look at me, it's going to be us. She's like, no, well, I don't know, just in case you might need to pick somebody. You're like, what do you mean we need to pick somebody? You just need to pick somebody. We're like, pick who? What do you mean? Pick somebody. It's only us two.
She didn't want you all. She didn't want you all to be in that position.
Absolutely not. It was like a toss of a coin. Pick somebody, and we were like, what? We're like, no, this is our father. What are you talking about? So automatically, they didn't want to give us the option to even pick a guardian. We were like, what do you mean? We were so confused on what she was talking about. So then they went back and, continued on, and with the shenanigans, and how his wife was showing that, she had a calendar, and she's doing all these things to make sure my father is well taken care of, even though it was proven that she was neglectful. Then they said, okay, just give us a minute. So we sat, we waited, we sat, we waited, we sat, we waited. Then the next thing you know, my attorney called me and she was like, they'll email you the verdict. And we're like, they'll email us? Well, we're sitting here waiting. Oh, yeah. No, I'm on my way home. I had a long day. They'll email it to you. We're like, what? What do you mean they'll email us?
You hear that, everybody? Like I said again, corruption at its best.
Yeah. And then she was like, you brought, the money for the lien, which was the report. First of all, we didn't even realize that we were supposed to pay for this report that we told them what was going on. It was supposed to be in my sister and I's responsibility to pay for it. Oh, don't worry, girl. You don't have to pay for it. The judge made your father pay for it. So before we even left, before they didn't even tell us the verdict, they never told us. All she wanted to tell us was that Dad was paid for this bill that we didn't even know anything about.
And see, even in a situation like that, The judge has no authority to just automatically put a bill on a person that's basically an incompetent person or even a person like that without first talking with the family or the interested parties of the estate.
Right.
Because what if he didn't have that kind of money?
Exactly. Automatically. Oh, your father's going to pay for it. And so they wasn't sworn in yet, so we still had the POA. So then at that point, I ran like the next day to the Bank of America to see how she paid for her court fees. Only behold, she swiped the credit card and paid $6,000 to my dad's business account to pay her attorney, which knowing that he was not supposed to use my dad's fees to pay for her legal fees.
Right.
And so after that, so then from then we're like, this whole thing doesn't make sense, and then everyone's like, oh, everyone is like, give it a chance, and I was like, no. So then we started researching automatically, who was going to be, the appointed guardian. Of course, we knew that agent adult services, these were the same people we have been calling on the wife, so we knew they wasn't a good service. And then the attorney, we looked at all her reviews, which is El Bonnie. Her reviews is horrible. 1 star. She dismembers all family assets, and I'm like, wait a minute, this has to be a nightmare. This judge could not appoint.
And she's referring to Kenya Johnson, everybody, the current probate court judge of Fulton County.
All of this is Kenya Johnson. And I'm like, this cannot, if you look on my YouTube, she looks so perfect, all these
right.
She's a joke.
Yes, she's corrupt.
She's beyond corrupt. I'm like, are you serious? And so then after that, the whole time, I'm emailing them, because they want you to come back to court. I'm like, why would I go back to the same place that did what you did?
Right.
I'm like, I'm not going back to court. Like, we're not doing that. We're reporting, we're showing them nothing. It's been a whole year. August made a whole year since that has been, right. So that was one of the things. This is my brother, also the background. He said that in the order, it said Mr. White did a quick claim on his property that was supposed to be removed back. All his assets were supposed to be removed back. All the funds were supposed to be removed back. None of those things were done, because that's public record. Every time I'm in Atlanta, I would go down to the deed department. It's all still the same. Nothing has been changed.
Right.
Nothing has been changed. But they're trying to dismember all his property. Like his property in New York, they're going after that, because that's a big asset. But like other stuff, like what she's supposed to be doing, like the wife and getting the money back and the property, she's not even touching that. She doesn't even, it's not even done. So then we called and we complained and we did a group email. And then also I told you, I have a relative that has a property that she has a couple of clients that she also wants to the state. And the same guardian is the same guardian for my father. And how it's handled is so differently with people that have assets and the ones that don't.
Right.
Again, it was the same guardian. So it's like, it's so close. It's like, okay, my cousin, which is a nurse, which is a mandated reporter, they told her, the guardian told her to evict our client. To evict them.
Wow.
She's like, wait a minute, I'm a nurse. This is my residential property. You, as a guardian, you're telling me that I should evict this person and put him on the street? And the family is begging for him, and you won't let the family get him. And I have a cousin, don't forget, but that's my father's cousin. I have a cousin and the family's fighting, and you guys will not even let my cousin's family see. They have lied to us, Mr. Coleman, which is over the whole guardian. He's lied to us and told us that my father doesn't want us to come by and see him, because my father would never say those things. Have it on recording.
Again, everybody, these are employees under this corrupt judge, Kenya Johnson, in the Fulton County Probate Court.
Yeah, you are not making this up, and if you are not making this up, this is this is what we're going through right now. And what happens is a lot of people don't realize it until they're confronted with it. And like I said, even it's everywhere. Because I was in New York, and I was in surrogate court on Thursday, just going over the deed for the property in New York, and I hear the story there. And this lady came in the same thing. She said it was the bank. And when she went to go collect, all her money was gone. It was gone. They took her money. So it's so many areas. And a lot of people are not aware of it until
it happens to you.
Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, I have so many people that have it. I have another person too. They took their land and built a high rise on it. And that's what the man said. He's like, they expect for us to die. They don't expect for us to fight for it. And then nobody knows because people don't tell their stories. People are embarrassed. People are frustrated, and then it just never told.
The biggest thing is they're hoping that you don't do anything. They're hoping that you accept what they're doing to you. And that's something I refuse to ever do.
Really? Wow.
Because, see, a lot of us, especially in the Black community, we're used to tucking our tails and running.
Oh, okay. So that's this one.
And, of course, if you don't have the resources to fight corruption, they feel like we won. But, see, you don't have to be rich to fight corruption.
No.
You can expose it. One thing.
You have proven it.
Right.
You show me every single day. Like, every single day, you just remind me. Like, it's not about the money. You can think, open up a book, learn a word,
right.
Open up and study it. Like,
exactly.
Case law, comparison, and go out there and do it.
Exactly.
Those language. And then you are living proof. Because they know that you're making a statement. They know.
And I'm about to make a bigger statement with these lawsuits, these federal lawsuits that's already getting ready to be served. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
my time is almost up.
It's really the campaign that we're on as well. We are on.
Yeah, give out your information as well, so people can contact you on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes. I'm on all the social media platforms. I hashtag free Almond P Charrington on Instagram, on Facebook, Spotify, we are on all the platforms. My number is 917-995-3639, 917-995-3639. You're welcome to call me anytime. Like, if I can help, I'll call James and ask, for anything to help you. You know what I mean? I'm here because don't feel ashamed. Speak out.
And tell them your name again.
It's Carmela Charrington.
Yeah, Carmela Charrington. That's Charrington. First name Carmela, Carmella.
Exactly. Please speak out. Don't feel like you can't say anything.
There's nothing to be embarrassed about because, again, you have to expose corruption where it stands.
Yes. We have to. And now, like you said, we at a platform that we can do it. We can speak our voice. And
right.
We have to. And we have to speak to the ones that weren't able to.
That is correct.
The ones that were able to, that they couldn't. And they don't know what's going on. And it's a lot of, everywhere. But in New York has a whole squad, like elderly abuse. There's a whole squad here for that. Like, it is really, 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 really strong here. And like DAs that appointed to watch over property. A lot of our elderly have lost their property due to deed fraud. Like, it's really, really, really bad. It's really, 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 really bad. So please speak out. And a lot of people are trying. I don't know if they are trying to speak their truth, but people are getting frustrated and just like to get it.
Right. Well, everybody, my time is almost up. It's 5:53 p.m. But certainly, Carmela will be back on my show again because, of course, I'll be talking with her time and time on the show as well. And not only her, other people who this same corrupt probate court judge, Kenya Johnson, has knowingly violated.
They're all at Braxton. Listen,
Miles Braxton, Angela McCullough,
Yup, they all
in cahoots together, co-conspiring to the corruption.
You are.
He's about to be in a lawsuit coming up. Yep, he will be in a lawsuit coming up. He sure is. He and Angela McCullough.
And they try to act like they're neutral parties, like,
right.
Oh, we're neutral. And then there's like, and then he's like, oh, well, I'll get in touch with the conservator. And I'm like, yeah, none of the bills have been paid, because they're supposed to pay, anything that's going on. Because we don't get any bills from my dad because it's in his name. So anything that's due, they get it. So we're like, from my understanding, nothing is being paid. And then he's like, well, if you live in a property, you're supposed to be paying fair market value. And what?
Like, no.
No, but who are you? Wait a minute, you're supposed to be neutral.
He's not supposed to be. Everybody, let me stop her in that section. Under the law, you're not supposed to be giving. He, as an employee of the court, is not supposed to be giving legal advice. That is grounds for him to be basically sued for that alone, and also the loss of his job. That's not your job to give out legal advice.
But to tell me that that's what should be going on with my dad's estate.
Right.
And I'm like, her, you can't. I'm concerned that is not for you to stay. And plus, if that's how he left me in it, that's how it is. Like,
no, that is correct. You don't have to. You do not have to amend how you live in any property that you live in. Period. That's not the court's right to tell you that.
No, man. I was like, wow. But you see the bias.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm just so glad that I'm on this campaign with you. I'm so glad that
definitely.
You took this time out to really help us and trust us at all times of the night and day.
Right. Exactly. You're very welcome. Well, it's now 5:55, everybody, and it's almost an end to my show, my very first show. But believe me, everybody, you're going to hear some things on this show concerning that courthouse that's going to really make you say, wow. For sure. I'm going to educate you and inform you. So in the event that it happens to you, because I'm also in the process now of building my legal team, I'm going to have a team of lawyers that are going to go after corrupt judges, corrupt lawyers, corrupt private citizens, all of that. So that's going to be the next thing that I'm working on too. But however the case may be, everybody, I really appreciate you listening to my show. And if you want to contact James Pitts directly myself, my number is 404-447-5459. Again, 404-447-5459. And again, my name is James Pitts. I'm the host of Fulton County Exposed. And I will be on every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on bodradio.com. And however, too, I'm going to get the phone situation fixed because, of course, Carmela had an issue being able to call in. So I know if she had an issue calling in, definitely you all probably had an issue calling in. But I will get that situation taken care of. This is my first show. So definitely, I'm still getting my, learning my way in. But I want to be able to hear from you all and however, hear your stories, too. Because we're going to bring some resolution to this corruption, and not just the Fulton County Courthouse, and all of these courthouses if we can. It's time to change some laws. It really is. It's time to change some laws. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Definitely need to happen. It needs to happen. It really does. These people certainly need to just, all this corruption, it's a mess. And it's been going on for years. So, again, everybody, make sure you listen to my show every Saturday from 4 to 6 on bodradio.com, Fulton County Exposed. Because you got to learn, you got to hear these stories. Because one day, it's us today, tomorrow could be one of you. It could be one of you. And it's probably one of you anyway. You just are not, you might be afraid to speak. And I don't want you to be afraid to speak. Speak up. Speak out. Don't let these corrupt tyrants violate your deceased parents or even your elderly parents that may be in a conservatorship. Don't do it. Sue them. And I'm going to have the right attorneys for you to use to do that. Don't allow them to violate you. But I really appreciate everyone listening to my show, my very first show. And definitely get ready for next Saturday. I certainly look forward to hearing from you all and definitely telling you more about what's going on in Fulton County. Carmela, you know we'll be talking later on.
Yes, thank you so much, James.
You very welcome. Definitely. So I'm gonna end the call with you because now it's 5:59. So that's pretty much gonna end my show for this week. But next weekend I will be back, everybody. So make sure you tune into Fulton County Exposed on BODradio.com from 4 to 6 p.m. You have a great afternoon. Bye, Carmela.
All right, have a good evening.
All right. Bye bye. Have a good afternoon, everybody. And